Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. It is New Year's Eve, everybody. Under normal circumstances, your boy will be getting ready to have a ripper tonight, getting ready to go have a good time, hang out with his friends, his family, engage in all sorts of degenerate behaviors such as gambling and partying and, the whole entire litany. Not this year. While the Strip's going to be open and the casinos are open, you can count me out of all of that this year. You add in the virus and all of the derelicts that have been coming to Las Vegas to hang out on the Strip, and that is just not the kind of place I am going to be. So my plans tonight, well, they include a whole lot of Twilight Zone watching, I think. I'm going to stay home tonight, hang out, watch some Twilight Zone, watch a few of these football games, and wait for tomorrow, where there are the big football games, the national championship games and stuff. And I'll be going over to my parents then, and we'll be doing all sorts of eating. Tonight, Carrie is actually going to be working on the Strip, so let's all say a quick prayer for her, and hopefully her shift goes by nice and quickly, because this will be her first shift actually working in the casino, inside of the casino, since last March of, when this all started. So, be a nice adventure for her. And me, like I said, I think I'll be home with the dogs tonight, folks, watching a little TV, some Twilight Zone, maybe dive into a YouTube rabbit hole or two. Hell, maybe even pump out some more content. Maybe we'll do another live video, depending on what's going on and how bored I get tonight. But hopefully, if you folks are going out and it's something that's allowed where you're at, you're not stuck in a lockdown or something like that, I hope you all have a great time tonight, because at the end of the day, we have to keep on living our lives, right? We have to be responsible, of course. We don't want to be the asshole that, gets his whole family sick or something like that. But if you're a relatively healthy person and, you're not around older people and stuff like that, I think that you should, wear your mask, put your mask on, wash your hands, stay socially distant, and if it's at all possible, have a good time, right? Now, it's going to be an interesting year. I think that the stuff that we have coming this year, as far as the Jeffrey Epstein case, is going to be mind-blowing. We're at a point where a lot of people who nobody thought would ever be in jeopardy are in serious jeopardy. I can't tell you how many times I've seen messaging from people, oh, well, Maxwell's going to die in jail just like Epstein. Or, nobody else is ever going to get arrested besides Epstein. And here we are with Maxwell and Brunel, both people who were in leadership roles within the enterprise, rotting behind bars, and the underlings just waiting for their turn. So 2020 proved to be a banner year when it comes to going after people like Jeffrey Epstein. And I really hope that momentum is built on in 2021. Now, you all know what time it is here on the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here and we'll be talking about this at least one time per day. And when there's news, we'll be here 2 times a day. If there's enough news for 3, I'll be here for 3 segments a day. This story has to be told, and it has to be cataloged. And unfortunately, I don't trust the legacy media to do it for us. So, me and my beard, well, we'll take up the mantle. We'll make sure that we catalog this. We'll make sure that we're discussing it every single day until this trial is over. Until Ghislaine Maxwell has seen her day in court, until she has been judged by a jury of her peers, and until the rest of these co-conspirators, the core 4, and Indike and Khan, face justice. Now, if you missed last night's Ask Me Anything session, we talked about that kind of stuff, and we definitely dove into what I think is going to occur moving forward in this case. So if you haven't listened to the AMA episode from last night, it's in the catalog. You can go and check it out there. If you want to watch the video, the almost 2-hour video, head over to the Facebook page and you can watch the video there. I will post a link in the description box of this segment, and you will be able to either listen to it as usual as a podcast or check out the video version over at the Facebook page. To all of you who participated last night, I appreciate you guys taking out the time. It was a lot of fun, a lot of questions. There was a lot of people who participated. I think when we wrapped up, the final tally was 330-something comments in the thread. So it was a lot of engagement and a lot of people being involved. So I definitely appreciate that. Obviously, it was something that was enjoyed by the audience. So we're going to start doing one of those every Sunday, probably the same time, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And we'll do like a wrap-up. We'll do a 1-hour show every week. And, I'll let you guys pepper me with questions. We could talk about whatever. Whatever you guys want to talk about is fine with me. So if you missed it last night, no worries. You have a chance to go back and check it out now. If you're hanging out with the family tonight, throw it on. Let the family listen to it. Share it with your friends. That's the best way to help the podcast. The more exposure, the better. The more people who listen to it, the better. And if you folks want to help, that is a surefire way to make that happen. And especially when you got some family around for the holidays right now, or, your cousin Earl who's over in Louisiana and he's bored because he has nothing to do, shoot him an episode. Let him listen. There's plenty for everybody. All right, so enough with my shameless plugging there. Let's talk about our article. I'm pretty sure you all know where we're going today, since I discussed a little bit about what I wanted to talk about today last night on the Ask Me Anything. And that is the absolute slapdown by Judge Nathan on Ghislaine Maxwell for her ridiculous second attempt at bail. Now, there are a few people in the media who came out and defended Ghislaine Maxwell. Geraldo Rivera, Mr. Chair to the Face himself, still suffering from CTE, obviously, wasn't too happy that Ghislaine didn't get bail. And then there is an author from Newsmax named Jonas Spilbor, who is another one who plays the game, right? Ghislaine Maxwell should get out because that's the way it's always been. Lady, don't you understand that it's all corrupt, it's rigged, and you, as a defensive attorney especially, should want the game fixed? But no, just because that's the way it's always been, that's the way it should be. That's how these people think. Oh, you're not going to change anything, you're just one voice. Yeah, well, guess what? When all of those people stormed into the streets during the Floyd situation and others, They changed something, didn't they? Do you really think that Biden would have gotten elected without all of that turmoil, without all of that chaos? Of course he wouldn't have. The point is, though, if you want something to change, you have to act for it to change. You have to put it into motion. You can't wait around for other people to do it. And especially now, folks, it's a call to arms for everybody. We all have to safeguard what's going in and out of our minds, and we all have to be active and ready to speak up when there are great injustices such as this. And I think we're turning the corner, and people are at that point. I think people have had enough. All right, so our article is from ABC News. Headline: Judge, $28.5 million bail package for Epstein's ex? How about co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scuzzbag, and bipedal serpent? Was not a close call. Well, yeah, no shit, $28.5 million? She's about, 68 million short of where Jeffrey Epstein was at, and he was told to kick rocks. He didn't have no extra passport. I mean, not one that anyone was going to take serious anyway. But Ghislaine Maxwell is a severe flight risk. Money, means, friends, passports, citizenship. She epitomizes what a runner looks like. And considering the charges that she's facing, we're not talking about a dispute with her neighbor. We're not talking about a fender bender with Susie from down the street. We're talking about serious, heinous crimes that she is being alleged to have committed. So, yeah, she's a flight risk. Somebody like her, she's already crying because she doesn't have her lettuce wrap sandwiches. She's already crying because she's in a jail cell by herself. And what are we, a few months in? 35 years with these Hold'em charges is what she's looking at. You don't think she's in panic mode? You don't think her anxiety is through the roof? And it should be. And usually I have a lot of sympathy for people with anxiety, considering I deal with it myself. But when it comes to her, I don't care. I honestly do not care. She made her own bed. She had all the wealth, all the privilege, all the power, and this is the kind of life she chose to lead. Nobody did it for her, okay? This is what she chose. She chose to be Jeffrey Epstein's associate. She chose to be his business partner, and she chose to help him in his dark, dastardly pursuits. So guess what, Ghislaine? You made your bed. Now lie in it. This article was authored by Larry Neumeister. A judge says a $28.5 million bail package proposed by lawyers for Jeffrey Epstein's old associate, co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scuzzbag, and bipedal serpent only strengthened the reasoning for keeping her locked up until her July trial. We talked about that stuff. The only reason I would have thought that she had a shot getting out, like I talked about, was the COVID situation. But being that she doesn't have any comorbidities and she wasn't sick, she didn't have COPD or any of that jazz, she shouldn't have been considered. There's a lot of other people that should have been considered or should be considered to get out. If you have a comorbidity and you're in there for a non-violent offense, you're in there for selling pot, bro, you should be out. Okay? You should be out. I'm not one of these people that thinks everyone should be in jail and should stay there. I think that every situation's unique. A drug dealer who is selling pot should not be treated the same way as a murderer or an armed robber. Every situation should be unique. That's why I don't believe in mandatory sentencing either. But there are people in there that, if anyone should be given the liberties of getting out to go home on home arrest or home confinement, it should be these people that didn't commit crimes with victims. If they have comorbidities, then yes, I am all for it. But Ghislaine Maxwell? Hell no. Why should she get out? There's not one damn good reason why this lady should be out on the streets. Not one good reason. A $28.5 million bail package proposed by lawyers for the late Jeffrey Epstein's ex-co-conspirator, fellow child abuser, general all-around scuzzbag, and bipedal serpent only strengthened the reasoning for keeping her locked up until her July trial, a judge said in a written ruling unsealed Wednesday. And I got to give some props to Judge Nathan. She's doing a good job here, in my opinion, as far as slapping down all of these ridiculous requests by the defense. This is the kind of thing that the defense has done for years and years and years, and this is the kind of thing that they know usually works. But what Judge Nathan is doing here is effectively cutting them off at the knees and telling them, you're going to have to defend your client on the merits of her guilt or her innocence. We're not going to play these games. And that certainly looks like the path that Judge Nathan has chosen. And if that's the case and we continue to see her staying steadfast and strong with this, I think that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to be in for a really terrible, horrible 2021. U.S. District Judge Allison J. Nathan in Manhattan made the observation while explaining her reasons for denying bail earlier this week for Ghislaine Maxwell, the bipedal ex-associate of Epstein, the pedophile and convicted sex offender. She initially sealed the decision, but released it after lawyers requested no redactions. And this article is originally posted by the AP, and the AP plays funny with their words all the time, right? A former girlfriend or the wealthy financier. So I don't even bother with that. I go in and I change those every single time we read these articles because I'm not going to put any respect on these people's names. Zero chance that happens. They're going to have to go through these trials, and if they're proven innocent, then we can revisit it. But as of now, where the evidence leads and where the evidence points, boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, these people don't deserve to be called Epstein's former girlfriend. That's not even what she is. That's just spreading more BS, right? And I'm not going to do it. I'm certainly not going to do it. This lady is a bipedal serpent. Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile. Prince Andrew is a moron. Point blank, period. What'd that girl say? Cash me outside. How about that? And as far as the sealed portion, we know that that was what Nathan planned on doing in the beginning, sealing it, and then giving the lawyers a chance to, talk about redactions. And obviously there were no redactions that needed to be made, and Nathan went ahead and released her reasoning for not granting bail to the bipedal serpent. Maxwell, 59, was arrested in July at a $1 million New Hampshire estate on charges alleging she recruited 3 teenage girls in the mid-90s for Epstein to sexually abuse. Yeah, pretty damning, huh? Again, you didn't rip off Sally in the local bridge game, okay? You didn't forget to pay your homeowner's fees. You didn't dip and dodge and duck out on a traffic ticket. You're accused of being involved in a human trafficking conspiracy that was moving children from state to state, in violation of the Mann Act, by the way, for Jeffrey Epstein and yourself and other associates to abuse. Those are the charges that you're facing, Ghislaine. And you think anyone's going to believe that you're not a flight risk? Stop it. Give your head a good shake and reevaluate your life. An indictment also alleged Maxwell sometimes joined the abuse. She has pleaded not guilty and faces a July trial. The helping procure the girls is bad enough, right? But being accused of being involved in this abuse is taking it to a whole nother level. And the level of vitriol and fire I have for these people is not even matched by the heat of 1,000 burning suns. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no love for the enablers either. But the people who actually partook in the abuse, the people who were abusing these girls, helping these girls be abused, facilitating it, setting it up, paying them off, driving them around, making them a sandwich. These people all need to face justice because what happened here was reprehensible. And if you were involved in the abuse like Ghislaine Maxwell allegedly was, then this lady needs to get the full weight of the American justice system's boot right on her back. Lettuce wrap sandwiches be damned. Nathan denied bail at a July hearing. Defense lawyers recently asked for bail again, saying Maxwell has pledged her $22.5 million in assets, plus millions more from friends and family. Friends and family, huh? I don't know about you folks, but if this is my family member, I ain't pledging one single dollar. In fact, I'm not even coming to your trial. I don't think there's no gray area here. If you're looking at this case and you're not being a wise guy, or you're not being biased, or you're not trying to just be an asshole, it's very obvious what occurred. Again, we're not talking about something that's happening in real time. We're not talking about one of these cases where Nancy Grace is running around calling people tot mom. All of that was happening in real time. I'd have a much more measured approach to something happening in real time. I want to gather the facts. I need to know the details. I need to see the evidence. You know me, I follow the evidence. And if this case wasn't decades old and we didn't have all of this circumstantial evidence, all of these arrests, all of these court documents, I wouldn't be nowhere near as forceful about things. But the problem here is this. This has never been given a good look. This has never been dived into correctly. And now that it has been, and that it's being unearthed, it's unbelievable to a lot of people. But folks, believe it. The corruption that we saw here, the absolute corruption that we saw here, is mind-boggling. And I don't know anyone's friend or family even who could look at all of this evidence and not say to themselves and to their loved one, yo, you better come correct here and tell the truth. They cited her 4-year-old marriage as evidence of strong U.S. ties. Nathan rejected the new bail proposal, which would include 24-hour armed guards and electronic monitoring, for the same reasons she rejected the original proposal. And again with the guards, right? Who are these guards? Who are they hired by? What does their resume say? Where are they from? I know they're supposedly an English firm. Who do they have ties to? These are important questions. These are very important questions that need to be asked. And nobody asks them except a few of us content creators out here and a few really awesome people on Twitter, right? There's a lot of great contributors on Twitter who do incredible research and legwork. And those people are asking the questions. We're asking the questions. But where is the legacy media asking these questions? Who is this security company? The judge noted the charges carry a presumption of detention before trial and could result in a long prison term. And that's another thing, too. You got to remember, these certain charges carry a presumption of detention. That's what I was talking about. Your level of crime goes a long way to if you're going to be detained or not. And from my experience with the federal prison system and the Department of Justice and the whole entire system itself, well, if you're in trouble for something like this, you're not getting bail, okay? R. Kelly, not bailed out. Keith Raniere, not bailed out. Jeffrey Epstein, not bailed out. The judge noted the charges carry a presumption of detention before trial and could result in a long prison term. She described the evidence as strong and cited Maxwell's substantial resources and foreign ties, along with citizenship in France, which does not extradite its citizens, to go with her citizenship in the United Kingdom and the U.S. Look, nobody wants to deal with the nonsense of trying to get her extradited back here. Even if France decides, they say, okay, we will extradite her. Who knows how long the process takes, right? So the best course of action is you have your hands on her, you have her in custody, keep her in custody. Don't pull a Caitlin Stark and, release the Kingslayer here. No need for that. She also noted that Maxwell was captured while hiding in Massachusetts, away from the family, to whom she now asserts important ties, and was not fully candid about her financial situation. And I think that Judge Nathan could have went a step further even there and talked about the proximity to the border and to Canada and the strong ties between Montreal and France and how Ghislaine Maxwell could have easily been lost in the sauce. But by and large, the arguments presented either were made at the initial bail hearing or could have been made then, Nathan wrote. In any event, The new information provided in the renewed application only solidifies the court's view that the defendant plainly poses a flight risk and that no combination of conditions can ensure her appearance. So Nathan is saying what we're saying, right? Nathan is saying, I don't care how much money you put up. First of all, you were lying to us the first time around, it seems like. Second of all, no amount of money in the world can ensure that your bipedal serpent ass is going to show up. So, eat your bologna sandwiches. Enjoy your little bit of time on your computer. And get ready for the long haul. The judge said proof of Maxwell's ties to the United States was strengthened by letters from family and friends, including a husband whose identity was not revealed in court papers. You look, I get it, right? You want to say, if you're Maxwell, that my family ties are that's what's going to keep me here. I'm going to stay in America because my husband's here, my family's here, and that's the end of it. But the judge was like, look, you're not even living near your family. You're talking about not even living with your husband if I bail you out. So what do you even mean, Ghislaine Maxwell? She noted that Maxwell wasn't living with him in July and claimed they were getting divorced. Nathan added that Maxwell doesn't propose living with him now, undercutting her argument that the relationship would create an insurmountable burden to her fleeing. What's to say that Borgerson wouldn't just flee with her, with all of their means and all of their wealth? We know his ties aren't keeping him here. He already bounced on his wife and kids, the scumbag. A real man spends time with his family. A real man makes time for his family. A real man doesn't bounce on his family when things get tough or when Ghislaine Maxwell comes along. Nathan said Maxwell misrepresented important facts to court workers after her arrest, including the value of her assets and her ties to the New Hampshire property where she was arrested. And if you think that's not going to go into the whole you lying to the court, well, you're mistaken. They take all of that into account. If you're going to be lying about your situation while you're out, your money, where you're living, who you're with, blah, 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 why should Nathan or anyone think you're not going to lie when you get out? She said the misrepresentations, which have been made clear with the new bail application, and the lack of candor raises significant concerns as to whether the court has now been provided a full and accurate picture of her finances and as to the defendant's willingness to abide by any set of conditions of release. So this is just a complete repudiation of Ghislaine Maxwell and her attempt to get bail. Judge Nathan is not having it, and we were right when we thought that this would be the case. But again, I always reserve some cynicism and a pathway to cynicism here, because these judges and the court system has screwed the pooch so many times in this case that it's hard for me to have too much faith. But with the way Preska conducted herself and the way Judge Nathan is so far conducting herself, I have confidence that this case is going to be seen through to the very end. Maxwell's lawyers had also cited onerous jail conditions for Maxwell, including searches by guards who also wake her up every 15 minutes when she sleeps, perhaps a reaction to the fact Epstein killed himself in a Manhattan lockup in August 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. They also maintain she faces a threat from the coronavirus. And again, I don't believe that the guards are in there smacking their batons on the bars, or they're in there putting the flashlight in her face. I'm sure they're just walking by doing their rounds. That is what I'm guessing is happening. And this is all hyperbole, obviously, from Maxwell and her legal team. Nathan said the increase in infections from the coronavirus at the Brooklyn facility where Maxwell is housed was truly alarming, but added that Maxwell has no underlying health conditions that put her at a higher risk. A message seeking comment was sent to defense lawyers. Prosecutors declined to comment. And that's what we were talking about here as well. No underlying conditions, no comorbidities, none of that. So the coronavirus shit is out the window in my opinion. Ghislaine Maxwell, you're staying in jail. You'll be there until you're appearing in front of the judge, a jury of your peers, and those accusing you. And there ain't nothing you, your law team, Alan Dershowitz, Geraldo Rivera, or anyone else can do to change the fact. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All of the links that go with this episode can be found in the description box. To everybody who has donated to the podcast and helped keep the lights on around this joint, you folks most seriously are appreciated. And to all of you who give me your life minutes every day to sit here and talk about this case, couldn't do it without any of you folks. So thank you. Happy New Year's Eve. And I'll probably be back later on tonight with another episode, considering I'm staying home. So folks, if you're going out tonight, have a great time. But please, utilize all of the services around you and do not drink and drive. Not only do I want you folks here for 2021, I need you here. All right, everybody. I will be back later on, and we will pick up where we left off. Have a good one, Jeffrey Epstein Show fam.